Hey guys, these are 25 tips that will make you win every game in Roblox Bedwars. Alright, tip number 1, if you're ever at the height limit with 0 blocks, you can actually use a fireball to take 0 fall damage, just like this. You can also do this in first person, if that's easier for you. It works just fine. Yup, it worked. Alright, tip number 2, if someone ever places TNT on your bed, you can actually use a bow to bow it off, and I'll show you how to do it. So all you have to do is shoot the TNT, and it's that easy. Oh yeah, you can also do this with siege TNT, so this is a really useful tip to know. Alright, tip number 3, you can actually suffocate people through walls, and I'll show you how to do it now. So all you have to do is stand next to the wall, then press shift lock and do this, and once you're here, you can suffocate them. Yup, I did it. Oh yeah, this is also like 10 times easier if there's a window like this, because you don't have to go in shift lock. You can just suffocate them. It's pretty easy. Alright, tip number 4. If you're ever playing on this map and you're low on HP, you can pearl right here and then heal up. And then when you're done healing up, you can recall to go back to your base. Oh yeah, if your enemy is waiting outside for you like this, you can use tip number 3 to suffocate them just like that. And I actually did this before in a real game. Here's the clip. Alright, tip number 5 is wall hopping. So as you can see, I can't jump over this wall, but if I jump and then press shift lock, I can't jump over the wall, and that's called wall hopping. You can also use wall hopping to jump over blocks like these that aren't even wool. Alright, tip number 6 is kinda similar to the last tip, but it's just using wall hopping to take 0 fall damage like this, and it's useful when you have 0 blocks. Alright, so tip number 7 is using the Borak head for blocking in beds because it speeds up your bed break, and I'll show you what I mean. So as you can see, I'm blocked in this bed, and look how slow I'm moving. Like, this is really slow. And if you want to speed this up, you can put on the Borak head, and I'll put it on right now to show you. Yo, look how fast I'm moving in the bed with the Borak head. And if you don't have enough Robux to buy the Borak head, don't worry, I got an alternative for you. As you can see, I got a kit skin now, and if I block in the bed, I'm gonna move really fast, just like the Borak head, and I'm pretty sure it's the same speed as the Borak head. Alright, tip number 8. As you can see, there's someone in my bed, and a normal player would mine them out the bed, but what if I told you there's a better way to save your bed? So what you want to do is stand on a block that's like the same height as them, and then once you do that, all you have to do is just build forward and it suffocates them. Oh yeah, you could also suffocate them like this, but that's way slower. I would recommend just doing the other method. Alright, tip number 9. So if you're ever playing on this map, instead of just blocking in the bed normally, you can do this instead. So what I just did there is I pearled inside of the bed. And this trick always works because no one expects you to pearl in the bed. Alright, tip number 10. So as you guys know, you can jump over a 2-layer wall, but what if it's a 3-layer wall? Then you can't, unless you do this trick. So what you want to do is jump, then wall hop, and then you're done. You did it. It does take a bit of practice to master it, but it gets easy once you do it a couple of times. Alright, tip number 11. If you've ever played ranked before, you know this map, and if you're on this map, you can actually steal loot through the wall, and you can also use the enemy's enchant table through the wall, and you can also P-chest your loot through the wall, so this map is really good. Alright, tip number 12. If you're ever about to die with a lot of loot, you can just go under the map, and I'll show you how to do it. So since I can't place any blocks under me, all I have to do is place one block here, and then mine this block, and I'm under the map now. But if that's a bit hard for you, don't worry, there's a second way to go under the map. So you want to use either one of these emotes, the hero landing or floor rock freeze. Both of them work. They help you go under the map. Alright, tip number 13. If you ever see someone build a bed defense like this to counter you from blocking in their bed, all you have to do is jump down here and then you can block in the bed and break it. But there's also a second way to get the bed. You know those emotes I showed you earlier? Yeah, you can use one of them to block in the bed and then break it. Alright, tip number 14. If you're ever about to die, you can do something called a pearl juke, and I'll show you what it is right now. So a pearl juke is when you throw one pearl here, and then at the last second, you throw another pearl to juke out your enemy. And I actually did this before against Godlike. Here's the clip.
But Godlike's stopping him from healing! Bro, Godlike might win this. Wow! Fake pearls!
Alright, tip number 15. Whenever you're swinging your sword in first person, you can see this small bar. So you want to like swing your sword right before the bar fills up. And you can also use an auto clicker to do this for you. Here's an auto clicker on screen. Alright, tip number 16. This tip only works if you don't play in full screen. So as you can see in the top right of my screen, there's this square. And if you hold right click on the square, you can freeze your game just like that. And you can actually use this to take 0 fall damage. So you want to jump, then hold right click, and you should take 0 fall damage. Yup. Oh yeah, if you fall in the void and then throw your pearl way too late, you can actually hold the square to stall more time for your pearl to land. Alright, tip number 17. If your enemy is ever hiding behind a 1-layer wall, you can actually use TNT to kill them because the TNT will hit them right through the wall, and yup, it worked. You can also use a fireball to kill your enemy through the wall. Yup, it worked too. Alright, tip number 18. If you're ever playing on this map, you can actually block yourself in down here, and then you can get a free bed. And the enemy cannot counter this. Alright, tip number 19. You can actually shoot people through walls if their hand is sticking out like that. Oh yeah, if you use this tip, there is a risk of being called a hacker, so be ready for that. Alright, tip number 20. If you're ever stuck at the height limit with 0 blocks, you can actually use a TNT to take 0 fall damage, like this. Yup, I took 0 fall damage, but I did take some damage from the TNT. Alright, tip number 21. Always play on 100 FOV, so you can see everything around you. Alright, tip number 22. Whenever you pearl somewhere, you actually become immune to fall damage for a few seconds, so this tip is really useful. Alright, tip 23. If you're ever playing on this map, you can actually buy things through the wall. Alright, tip number 24. When you're using a crossbow or normal bow, you actually don't need to shoot directly at people. You can just shoot near them like this, and it still hits them. Alright, tip number 25. And since this is my last tip, it's gonna be really good. So as you can see, I'm actually getting emeralds when I mine these emerald blocks. So mining these emerald blocks are actually really good, and I'm just kidding. You do not get emeralds. But anyways, I think I'm gonna end the video here. So thanks for watching, and check out these 2 videos because YouTube thinks you'll like them.